What if I told you that the man who would become the highest paid actor in Hollywood once spent his birthday in a prison cell, forgotten by the world and abandoned by everyone he loved? This is not just another celebrity comeback story. This is about a man who literally died and came back to life, both metaphorically and in ways that will shock you to your core. Robert Downey Jr. was born into Hollywood royalty, but by 1999, he had become its most wanted criminal. The boy who charmed audiences in Less Than Zero had become that character in real life, spiraling through a nightmare of drugs, arrests, and public humiliation that seemed to have no bottom. But what happened in that Malibu jail cell on April 4, 1999, his 34th birthday, would either kill him or transform him into something the world had never seen before. Picture this: a man who once commanded millions per film, now wearing an orange jumpsuit, staring at concrete walls while the industry he once conquered moved on without him. His wife had left him. His friends had abandoned him. Studios had blacklisted him. Insurance companies refused to cover him. Robert Downey Jr. was not just broke. He was broken in every way a human being could be broken. The addiction had started innocently enough. His father, Robert Downey Sr., had introduced him to marijuana when he was just 6 years old. What seemed like a bohemian childhood in the creative circles of New York would later become the foundation of a prison that would nearly destroy him. By his 20s, Robert was using everything: cocaine, heroin, crack. He would disappear for days, leaving movie sets in chaos, costing studios millions, and watching his reputation crumble with each headline. But here is what nobody knew at the time, and what makes this story truly extraordinary. In that jail cell, something happened that Robert has never fully explained to the public. He has hinted at it in interviews, calling it his spiritual awakening. But the full truth is far more dramatic than anyone imagined. You have not heard the most shocking part yet. During his lowest point in prison, Robert experienced what he later described as a conversation with his future self. Whether this was a dream, a hallucination, or something more profound, Robert emerged from that experience with a clarity that stunned everyone around him. He began studying martial arts, meditation, and ancient philosophies with an intensity that prison guards had never witnessed. When he was released in 2000, nobody believed he had truly changed. The relapses continued, the arrests continued. Hollywood had written him off completely. Mel Gibson, one of his few remaining friends, had to personally pay his insurance bond for The Singing Detective in 2003. Because no company would take the risk. Even then, Robert was required to submit to random drug tests and have a sober companion with him at all times. And this is where everything changed in the most unexpected way possible. In 2006, a relatively unknown director named Jon Favreau was preparing to make a movie about a lesser-known Marvel character called Iron Man. Every major studio executive told him that casting Robert Downey Jr. would be career suicide. The character of Tony Stark, they argued, needed someone clean, reliable, marketable, someone who would not risk a billion-dollar franchise. But Favreau saw something others missed. He recognized that Tony Stark's journey from a selfish arms dealer to a selfless hero was not just a fictional character arc. It was Robert Downey Jr.'s real-life story. The man who had lost everything and rebuilt himself was perfect to play a character who would do the same. When Robert walked into that audition and delivered Tony Stark's lines, he was not acting. He was simply being himself. What happened next was truly magical. The same qualities that had made Robert dangerous, his unpredictability, his sharp wit, his ability to find humor in darkness, became exactly what made Tony Stark legendary. Robert did not just play Iron Man. He became Iron Man, and in doing so, he transformed both himself and the entire entertainment industry. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, now worth over $25 billion, exists because a broken man was given one last chance to prove that redemption is possible. Robert's portrayal of Tony Stark was so authentic, so deeply personal, that audiences around the world fell in love not just with the character, but with the man behind the mask. But the most powerful part of this story is not about money or fame. It is about what Robert did with his second chance. He has quietly funded rehabilitation programs, mentored struggling actors, and used his platform to show others that no matter how far you fall, you can rise again. The man who once stole to feed his addiction now donates millions to help others break free from theirs. In 2019, When Robert filmed his final scene as Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame, he was not just saying goodbye to a character. He was completing a transformation that began in that prison cell 20 years earlier. The man who had been given up for dead had not only survived, he had become a symbol of hope for millions of people around the world who were fighting their own battles with addiction, failure, and despair. Today, Robert Downey Jr. stands as living proof that our worst moments do not define us. How we respond to them does. The boy who was introduced to drugs at 6 became the man who would inspire a generation to believe in heroes. The prisoner who spent his birthday alone became the actor who would bring joy to billions. The addict who had lost everything became the mentor who shows others that recovery is not just possible. It is the beginning of the greatest adventure of all. This is not just the story of how Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man. This is the story of how Iron Man became Robert Downey Jr., and why sometimes the most broken people become the most powerful heroes the world has ever known.